Welcome back to another episode of Getting Real with Matt and Ann. We have a special guest on today. So let me introduce you to Shauna. Now, Shauna, I can't tell you who she works for, but she is in the mental health field. And you know, we've been rambling about this for the last couple episodes, that there is a severe mental health issue in this country.
So we had to bring a professional.
So we had to bring a professional on to banter with us. Shauna, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Great.
She's like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Do we not know what we're talking about?
What are we talking about?
Where's the script?
What am I reading today?
Where's the script? I don't know.
So you had an interesting drive up here.
Yeah, construction.
Everywhere. It's summer in Pittsburgh.
And now I don't have gas in my car to get home.
That's a typical woman issue.
I almost said it when she was walking down the hallway. But
when I turned around and
Sexist.
I started laughing because I already knew it was coming.
Sexist.
That's just factual information. That's not.
It's true. I've done it once or twice.
There's two types of women in this world when it comes to gas. Those that fill their tank up when they hit 3/4 of the tank of gas
Freak out.
and freak out because they think they're going to run out.
Yeah.
They got 200 miles left. Or those that run it down to zero, but know how far they can go on zero.
That's me.
Yeah. And then how many times you run out of gas?
Once.
Yeah. See, at least I don't know about you, I have never run out of gas in any of my cars.
Never.
Ever.
I've never run out of gas. Ever.
Why do women do that?
It's the adrenaline.
What? The women in your family, where are they at on that scale?
It's a really good question. Well, I don't know.
Because I can tell you.
I'm sure
I can tell you where my mother and my sister
I'm
are.
sure my mom is my mom's like this with everything. She'll freak out if it hits half a tank, but she'll want to fill it up.
Oh,
My sister will probably run it till it's at zero.
Oh no, both of my mom and sister, zero, emergency lights flashing,
Yeah.
things that you've never even seen.
Engines
Come on,
pointing out.
yeah. Oh, but you're- yeah. Can you go put gas in my car? No, because I'm not going to make it to the gas station. You're on your own.
Sean, we're gonna have to go get you gas in a gas can. I can bring it back.
Honestly, probably. That's why I said something.
I met her in the parking lot. She's like, you're going to have to maybe follow me because I'm probably not going to make it to a gas station. And we'll change the subject here in a second. She's driving a car with no window tint. Poor girl's in there fishbowling. I almost had a heart attack when I saw her sitting there. I'm like, what is this girl doing? I'm feeling we should make it a tour.
Without windows.
Isn't it illegal?
No, ma'am, it's not illegal.
I'm a rule follower. Unless it comes to filling your gas tank.
I'm sorry. I call bullshit on that. No one's that big of a fucking rule follower.
Unless it comes to filling your gas
Go
tank.
back to the gas thing. I meant to tell you this the other day. So it's like, I don't know, maybe Monday. It's like 6:30 in the morning. I go to the same gas station every morning. Get my shit. Dude in front of me got $40 worth of e-cigarettes. He got $5 worth of gas on pump 6. I swear to God, on my life. And I looked at
Priorities, brother.
And I looked at the dude that was the register guy, and I said, did he just get $5 worth of gas? And he just started laughing. He goes, yeah, he got a little over a gallon. I said, where is he going? To the Sheets, the next traffic light down the road? Like, I'm like, but he spent $40 on e-cigarettes and put $5 in his gas tank. Where in the fuck are you going for $5? It's not like well, she's way younger than us, but when we were 16 years old, you could put $5.
$5 went a lot further. It was $1. It was like $1.09 for a gallon of regular gas. You could put almost 5 gallons of gas in.
You could get 5 gallons, which the tanks were only 20-gallon tanks back then. So $5 got you a quarter because $20 filled up your whole car. Right. So $5 would get you around for 2 days, a day, whatever. But it was Anyway, I just thought $40 on your e-cigarettes. There you go.
Well, that's priorities. Man.
I was just going to say that. Priorities.
That's where people's priorities.
And that's mental. That's a mental issue, I feel like, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Again, that shows the mindset of the majority of people in this world, right? They'd rather blow $40 on e-cigarettes and then complain about how they have no money to do anything than actually quit a nasty fucking habit, have that extra money, and actually put it to good use on doing something productive in society.
Spend your money. Why? Spend your money better. I mean, how long does one of those things last you? We're gonna have to.
I don't know.
We might have to phone a friend here. We might have to phone a friend here and see how long.
I can't.
How far they go.
Cigarettes. So I can't. Have you ever smoked?
Are you a vapor?
No, I've never done a drug in my life. Or smoked.
Wow, you are a rule follower.
I am. I've never.
E-cigarette? No. You've never actually smoked an e-cigarette? Okay.
Yeah, I've never.
We're lame like that. I mean, she's never done drug. I can't say I've done.
I've never done any drugs either.
However, I wonder the mindset of that guy. How old?
20s. He was like late 20s.
That's the problem. All right. So that can parlay us into the next topic of conversation, which is what the fuck is happening across these university campuses, right?
Valid point. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying, though, is like, wonder what the mindset of that guy was. Like, I need gas to get where I'm going. I only need $5 worth to get where I'm going, but my anxiety is so high that I need this e-cig to decrease my anxiety. So that's more important.
Anxiety about what?
Who knows?
I will say this. It was 6 o'clock in the morning and he was up. So might have been going to his job. So I will give him that. That's early for that generation.
Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Can I give you an example?
No, you're not allowed to.
No examples.
Can't stop. Yes,
So I see a lot of college age females and males, like between 18 to 21, we'll say. And a lot of them will say to me, like, oh, I need to hit my vape. And I'm like, what is that doing for you? And I'm trying to understand it because, I mean, we didn't have vapes. That wasn't even a thing.
Cigarettes.
We didn't have, I mean, again.
And chewing tobacco.
We didn't have that. So that wasn't, I mean, kids were definitely smoking cigarettes in the bathroom in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Kids were doing that. But I think that was more of like, oh, we're so cool. Like, we're smoking a cig in the bathroom. We're skipping class, right? Again, too much of a rule follower for me to do that. I was too scared.
Yeah,
but
you knew what was in
they were doing that. Right. This, I don't know what the purpose is. It's almost like a placebo in my mind. I don't know what the purpose is.
Part of it is just having that and having it in your hand is comfortable.
Right. But when I ask them, it's like they feel like they need this thing in their hand that they can just hit really quick, and it relieves anxiety for them in their mind some way, just like a placebo. Like if we were to give somebody, you know those calm pills they sell?
Gummies.
Yeah, like at Target.
Purple. I've seen them in the
Or like those
commercial.
stress ones, those things, people buy those and they're like, yeah, I feel so much better. When realistically, there's not much in there. It's like a vitamin thing, which vitamins for sure can help you. Like you balance your hormones, all that stuff. You're healthy. That can balance that. But in your mind, it's like, I took this thing. It made me feel more relaxed, but it's still you going and giving that presentation. It's still you going to your job. It's still you going and taking a test. It's still you doing all of that. You're just reframing your thinking in the same way that you would without the substance. But being dependent on it becomes an addictive personality.
Yeah, I think that's any substance.
Right.
Well, but dude, the side effects of that thing is ridiculous.
Right.
Like
You would like blowing up in people's faces when they were fucking
like they over.
Right.
But I mean, just the amount of chemicals and shit that they put in that, like.
But do you think about forward consequences all the time?
At this age, yes.
When you were that age?
No. Fuck.
No, but that's kind of a loaded question because in every town there was always the town drunk or the town crackhead that was moving around, and your parents are always, "Do I be drugs and drink?" Because
I wind up like.
Or if you were my mom, you were like, don't bring that home.
No, but do we have fast Eddie in there?
Oh, yeah, right.
And like my dad would like find a fast Eddie there. Dude, and he would just walk and just chain smoke. We'd sit on
That's
the curb,
true. We had a runner in Baldwin.
Cigarettes, like
Yeah.
I'd leave a soccer or baseball game. We'd come back.
Yeah.
Fast Eddie be sitting in the same spot on the curb, and there'd be a stack of Powell cigarettes.
That's $40 worth of cigarettes right there.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this is why you don't smoke, or this is why you don't do that.
That's
Like,
the consequence.
Yeah, and I always just saw that in the back of my mind.
Okay, but you hit a key point right there. Your dad, right? Your dad was like, that's the example.
Right.
How many people have that?
Yeah, I got lucky. My parents are still together, knock on wood.
Same. Yeah.
And there's parents that aren't together that are still good parents.
Absolutely.
They
We're not
still-
going down the route of my parents.
Yeah.
I don't think we're starting that conversation here.
Yeah, but they raised you right. They might not have been in the same, you guys might not all have been together at the end, but like you got enough common sense from them to understand the difference between right and wrong.
And
I learned the hard way.
the other thing is,
we
though,
all did, trust me. But
it's not even just parents. It's a positive adult role model. If you have a positive adult role model that you look up to as a mentor or like whatever that looks like for you, like someone that you identify as, oh, I want to be like them, or I trust what they're telling me. I believe that that's true.
So do you think that that's lacking in society today?
Yeah.
Like this millennial generation?
Yeah, I
maybe you're
mean-
a millennial, but like the
Yeah,
younger
thanks.
millennial and Gen Z generation, like the young college kids and the late high school kids right now, do you feel like that's lacking in that generation?
Yeah. I mean, look at the role models.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Yeah.
I think I want to be honest with you. it's across the board, whether you're not famous and poor or rich and famous. Yeah, because the people that are rich and famous now are fucking clowns. From athletes to movie stars to that whole demographic is a joke. If you look at just take the NFL, for example. In the 70s and 80s, those dudes, good guys, good role models, you know, family men, badass dudes, gridiron on the thing, didn't act like a clown on Sundays. And now,
But what's the one thing that has really changed from that generation's sports to today's generation sports?
the money.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I don't think those guys would have acted. They would, but you have to take. But
Well, no,
take
I
into
agree.
consideration
It's a completely
the money that
different
they were
generation.
making back then
Was a
was
lot.
still way more money than
Yeah.
the normal people were making. They were still making $1 million, millions of dollars, not hundreds of millions of dollars now. But I'm just saying, like, you didn't see no athletes back in the day acting like these dudes
Like
do
clowns.
now. Yeah, you don't have the ABs and
Right.
you know, the Tyreek Hills and all these fucking clowns and the actors. And dude, I just saw that Megan Fox's 3 boys, she's transitioning them all.
What?
I didn't even know she has kids.
Yeah, with that dude from 90210, whatever his name is.
I thought she was dating Machine Gun Kelly
She has
still.
3 kids from her previous marriage, and they're all boys and they're all transitioning to girls. It was actually on the news this morning.
See, that's just
on the
bad parenting. I mean, look, and I don't necessarily think. I mean, boys are that way. I think, but every girl goes through a tomboy phase. Both of my sisters went through a tomboy phase.
Yeah, but these are boys.
Right.
But here's what I'm saying, but that this is the role models that people have. So these chicks that think that Megan Fox is the god and do this, so then they're gonna be like, oh, well, it's okay if my kid wants to do it because their kid do it. And then one dude on the news commented, he was like, I think she took the movie Transformers a little too far.
Well, so that goes back to something we talked about before. It's like you give an inch, they take a mile, and then they take 100 miles, and they take 1,000 miles, right? And I think that's society in general. I mean, you go all the way back to when coming out as being gay was taboo, and then that moves into the LGBTQIAZYTUV. That's fine. You do you. But when you start bringing that shit into school and you start forcing that shit on my kids, and you start putting that shit into the literature they're reading, that's where I have a problem. And that's where I think more people need to be standing up and putting their foot down so shit like that doesn't happen.
Back to the role model thing, though. It's like, where did we lose the disconnect from having...
Because attention has been put on the wrong people. Attention has been put.
Yeah.
People have been taught to look up to athletes and influencers and movie stars and actors and actresses, not, you know, doctors or attorneys or business owners,
Good
or people-
teachers that you
good
had.
teachers or people that are influential in the local community.
Yeah.
And those are the people that everyone should be looking up to. But instead, they're looking up and putting emphasis on people like fucking Taylor Swift and paying, you know, $50,000 or whatever the hell it was for tickets to her concert.
I went. I didn't pay.
But that's
I went.
the problem.
More.
Yeah.
More. Stop.
Just done.
Cut.
But that's the problem, is because those are people that the attention has been put on, like, these are your role models. But no, they're fucking not. They're not. Just because they're famous, or just because they can sing, or just because they make, you know, $100 million a year, doesn't make them a role model. If they're not if they're not giving you something, and let's be honest, every fucking Taylor Swift song is about an ex of hers. How many exes has she been through to keep singing about this? How many years later?
Yeah, it's all breakups.
She's what makes her a fucking role model?
Oh.
Well, I think that's accurate though, because I think it's turned into, before you could just go to a concert, it could be entertainment. Right. It's the same with like Morgan Wallen. Okay. Like I went to Morgan Wallen. All right.
So did I.
Then it's like, oh, you like Morgan Wallen? He threw a chair. He's this, he's that. I can't believe you support him. Well, I can't just go to a concert and enjoy music, right? It's like, it doesn't mean I approve of his behavior, just like Taylor Swift. Doesn't mean that I agree with everything she does, but why can't I just go to a concert and enjoy it? We don't have to look up to people as role models because they're celebrities or because of what they're doing, but because it's viewed that way. That's what it looks like. Right.
She pushes a certain agenda. No, he didn't. I mean, obviously he was drunk and mad and threw a chair over a building. I mean,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. If it wasn't If he wasn't Morgan Wallen, do you think he would have been on the news? That someone threw a chair?
People fucking make
No.
mistakes all day, every day.
Yeah, like
Right.
There's stupid shit when we're pissed, when we're stressed, when we have a drink. Like, it happens every fucking day. I don't understand just because it's him, why it has to be a giant fucking news story.
Yeah, like
get the guy's not allowed to have a bad fucking day.
yeah.
Everyone is. Give the guy some fucking grace, but they don't. That's
And
the
he didn't
problem.
hit anybody. He just landed down. There happened to be 8 cops standing down there doing nothing per usual, and they went up and saw who threw the chair. Like, come on, like really? And they just. But dude, that comes with, like I always tell you, heavy as the crown. That comes with being in the spotlight and having your life under a microscope 24/7, and everyone follows you, and like you can't make no errors, no mistakes, no nothing. Like you live in.
They expect perfection.
Yes, because that's where they are. And they're not. They're still a human being. They
No
just
one's
have-
perfect.
No.
It's like the person telling you that you should be perfect. Are they perfect? Not anywhere fucking near.
No.
But they expect you to be. It's like, that's not how this works. Well, let's be realistic. What would have been looked at 5 years ago as insanity now is supposed to be accepted norm.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see how quickly shit has gone down. And that's just in the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, I think it's changed a lot over time. I mean, I used to work in the hospital setting. What you see there is really different than what I see now in a more outpatient setting. Like in the hospital setting, you're seeing a lot more high risk people. But it's definitely managed a lot different than it was
When you mean high risk,
way back. I mean, people with like suicidal thoughts, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, like all of those types of things.
The help that they need, though?
More so, yeah, now. Because, there's med management, there's psychiatrists, there's therapists, there's groups, there's people monitoring symptoms more and kind of identifying what's going on rather than just like pleading, okay, this person's crazy, lock them up, throw them in a corner. It's kind of getting to the root of the problem and where it stems from.
I think it needs to be more of that.
But what comes from it, though, is the person's willingness to be a part of that. I mean, granted, people can be admitted to a hospital against their will.
But they can't hold them.
Right. But a lot of time, like the people I'm seeing are people that want to be there for the most part. Sometimes with kids, it's their parents that make them be there. But it's most people that want to put work into change. Now, since COVID, a lot of that has changed because now it's a lot more like everyday stressors are turning into more high need anxiety more so. And it's more like pressures at school or pressures in sports. It's more.
Do you think that that's a byproduct of them, of what they tried to do during COVID with the shutdowns of forcing people to stay home and forcing people to not work and forcing people to wear masks?
And I think lack of being social.
Yeah, like social interaction.
Lack of being social. This is actually so interesting. This just came up last week. A lot of like late high schoolers, juniors and seniors, and college age kids are using dating apps, which is so interesting to me because
you have to be 18 to be on dating.
they lie. But it's so interesting to me because I'm like, why are you doing that? Like you have the ability to meet.
But they don't have the ability to interact.
Well, that's what it is. I'm like, you have the ability to meet anyone. Like you have a college campus. You meet either people from other colleges. You are in high school. You're hanging out. I mean, I'm thinking about my high school experience or my college experience. We met people all the time, right? And just this week, this came up so much because all of the college kids are coming home and I'm seeing them. And a lot of the high school kids are graduating and, talking to them. And they're like, well, we'd rather meet someone on an app because then we know if they like us and and I'll know if I like them. And then we can talk to them a little and then we meet them at a party or then we meet them on campus because then we feel less anxious about it. And I'm like, this is so crazy. Because then there's me in my 30s where I'm like, I'd so much rather meet someone in real life, right?
Not on a dating.
Not on an app where I have to do all of that. And like that to me is just like a chore, right? And it's like for them, that's normal and they'd prefer to live that way. But I think COVID did change a lot of that because they were doing school behind a screen. That's how they interacted with people behind a screen.
And even when I went back to in person, it was behind a mask. I mean, my son was in first grade during COVID, end of kindergarten and first grade. And I mean, that's when they're in the developmental stage, right? And not being able to see his teacher's face, the emphasis that she's putting on, watching her mouth move, how she pronounces words, her facial movements. I mean, that really affected the development of kids, especially at that age. And my daughter's older. She was 10, 11 at the time. So she wasn't nearly as affected as much.
Yeah.
But when you have kids that are in that developmental stage, like my son was, now luckily my son got through with no problem. But you see a lot of lasting issues with kids that had to deal with that during that time. And I was so vocal about it during 2020 and 2021 and fighting back and filing lawsuits and fighting our school board. And, I wasn't falling for any of that shit. And I didn't want my kids to be wearing a freaking face diaper for 8 hours a fucking day. And, much less staying home and staring at a computer screen for 8 hours a day. I mean, try to wrangle a first grader for 8 hours a fucking day. But it's impossible.
It's tough.
So, the development for all of that slowed way down. And you see some of these kids, I'm sure you see it more obviously than I do, but even with my kids' friends is, what you would expect someone to be as far as development at that age, they're nowhere near that. They can't interact. They can't have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
They can't look at your face.
Yeah.
It's
almost delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see that. And I mean, even just in general, they say like people are stuck at a COVID age, but you think about trauma, right? Like when people experience trauma, they become stuck at that age and then they kind of go from there. And until they address the trauma, work through the trauma, it's whatever stunts them at their growth at that point, whatever developmental stage they're at. I mean, COVID was traumatic for people, especially kids, where they abruptly went home from school. They're stuck inside. They're not doing the things they're supposed to do at that age.
Well, and then you had the fear factor of the media and some leaders, scaring the shit out of their parents. And then that relays down to the kids is real or unreal as that actually was. The fear factor does a lot to manipulate and control people. And you saw a ton of that. But it showed that there was a huge lack of critical and logical thinking skills in society.
Yeah.
It's just made people lazier.
Well, yeah. I mean,
we had this discussion already about going out. Back in the day, we were out every night, 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
Out on the pavement. That's how I made half of the connections I made. I was out, or, you know what I mean? Like, I've never been on a dating app, so I couldn't, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, now you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You can get any food you want delivered. You can get your groceries delivered. You can get food delivered.
I love having my groceries delivered, man. My time is not spent well, and I don't have.
I mean, there's people that will come and pick up your dog's shit. That's how fucking lazy the world has become. And now, okay,
to a point, I agree with you.
It's working smarter.
Yeah. My time is not spent well doing some things. So I'll hire people.
I was going to say, I think there's benefits to both, right? Like if you're insanely busy and you need your groceries delivered.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that to meeting
10 hours
to going out, like
to detail my cars, because that's not where my time is fucking.
No, I agree with that. Well, there's always been a detail. So you always take your car. Yeah. There's always been somewhere to clean your car. But I'm saying when we grew up, our moms or dads ran. They had to get the groceries. They had to do this shit. Like, and they didn't complain.
They didn't have those convenience factors that are out there now.
But we didn't have that shit until COVID. Then there was curbside pickup. Right. Then there was touchless delivery. Then there was leave the pizza on the doorstep and run away. Like, what?
Yeah.
But that's back to like
that. I don't have to answer the word interact with people.
But I'm just saying, like, for kids.
But think about like someone having anxiety, right? Or like a child struggling with anxiety or something like that.
Have you ever had fucking anxiety?
Or
you know what the fuck? I mean,
right.
No offense to anyone that suffers from it or battles it, because I do our things.
But think about
my ex-wife battled it. My daughter battles it. I see it, but I don't understand.
But kids like growing up with it, right? And knowing, well, I don't have to communicate with people. I do have the ability to do it. It's like almost, I remember being in math class and being like, why do I have to show my work? I can use a calculator the rest of my life. Right?
No, well, see, when
you're not going to always have a calculator and talk it out everywhere you go.
Right.
Yeah. Meanwhile, here we are.
Right. And now we have these, and I'm like, can I go back to my math teachers and let them know about the iPhone, right? But realistically, okay, fine. But looking back, I'm like, okay, I get it now. You wanted me to be able to think with my brain.
Can you write cursive?
Yeah.
My kids can.
Yeah. They don't teach that shit anymore.
My kids were taught it. My kids know how to write cursive.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because a lot of kids can't write. Yeah. Like you see those memes, it's like, ask them to write cursive and drive a manual and read an analog clock.
Stick an old rotary dial plug
Yeah.
in front of them and say, dial my number.
But there's also a lot of things kids are doing now that are like insane. Like they're speaking 10 languages and like learning.
Yeah, kids in China.
They're
Not
no,
kids here.
yes, they are.
Ooh, speaking 10 languages.
These kids I see are taking all these languages and having to do all this stuff at the schools they go to.
Yeah, like my daughter's in German.
Yeah.
And I think she's also taking Spanish.
Yeah, but we had, you could, when I was school, you could, it was Spanish.
I took Spanish for 3 years and then I was out.
I wish I would.
I spent 2 years in Spanish 1, and I spent the whole time smoking cigarettes out the window in the back of the class.
See, you were that kid.
I was that kid.
See?
Yeah, I'll admit it. I got
I had French, but I also knew, well, I mean, I also spoke.
I was gonna say Greek.
I spoke
yeah.
Greek before I spoke English because my grandparents didn't speak any English. So, like, I already had the
Yeah.
multi-language thing going on, but, like, I didn't think that was even still a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
mean,
it depends on the school district.
Right. It depends on the district of the school, but they are learning different things. But again, I think it's about when they leave. What are they doing socially?
Yeah.
Also to the pressures of social media, what they're seeing. Before, I mean, if people were hanging out without me, I didn't even know about it. Now
they do it. Now they feel
they do, and they do because it's really not a big deal, right? Like, how many times did you hang out with someone? You weren't meaning to exclude somebody. It wasn't deep, right? It was just
post a selfie together.
right. And it's like, oh my gosh, they hate me.
We've talked about this many times before, and we both feel the same way. Social media has been the downfall of society in so many ways. There's good parts to it as well, but those good parts continue to dwindle as time goes on.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, our kids, we don't let them have any social media at all. At all. I don't want them on there.
Yeah.
I just don't.
They'll be seeing all the crazy shit you be posting.
And they see how vocal their dad really is.
Then they'll be like, Ryder will be fighting everyone. Ryder will be getting 2 fights a day.
It's funny.
Dad, come get me and knock another kid out.
It's funny. During COVID and in 2020, 2021, a ton of people, because I was so vocal involved in organizing the open PA rallies and the lawsuit against Governor Wolf. And everyone's like, you need to run for Congress. You need to, like, yeah, no. And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, I'm going to have a conversation with my ex-wife, because that doesn't affect just me. It affects my kids. It affects her. Right. And she's like, if you run for political office, she goes, I will fight you and take 100% custody. I'm like, I'm not running for political office. Because, and I started thinking about it, and it does. It affects so many more people than just.
We're good. We got Fetterman, bro. He's wonderful.
We got Fetterman.
Yeah. He's great.
So let's talk. And I've been wanting to talk about this. It's a great time to bring it up. Let's talk about what's going on in these college campuses.
Follow.
I wish these kids were here during 9/11. How old were you?
How old was I? I was in 5th grade.
Okay. I was 21.
I can tell you exactly where I was.
Yeah, I remember too.
I remember exactly where I was, who I was with, what I was doing during that. And I remember this country coming together and being so like, okay, we need to fight back against terrorists, right? Terrorists, radical Islam terrorists. And now you have kids in this country that are fighting for those same fucking terrorists and standing up for them and bringing that shit here and on our campuses.
It's terrible.
Like, how does one process that?
Dude, I don't think that they know
That's
enough about the history of it.
so it's ignorance.
I would say 90% of it is ignorance because
But ignorance
if
doesn't
they,
excuse the actions.
but they don't know. So I think if you sat that people down in a room and put the videos on the screen of what they actually do to human lives over there, I think that a lot of people would be taken back. I think that they're just seeing that they're killing innocent people. They're doing this, they're doing that. If you guys actually went on and watched ISIS videos or Hamas videos or any terror organization like in Haiti or any of those places or Somalia, wherever they are, and what they actually do to people, dude, like these people, they can't have a clue. And if they do think that that's okay, then she can't even help them at that point. Like,
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that comes down to something totally different, which is people's just like worldviews, perspectives, what they know, what they don't know. It's just with anything. I mean,
But that also means that we have failed them at some point along the way. The education
no
system.
role model.
Well, yeah, but the education system on top of it. The education. I mean, I remember.
Didn't give them a history lesson that they.
Yeah,
did.
like where did the history courses go? You know, I mean, besides my grandparents escaping World War II, Nazi Germany, besides my great aunts being enslaved in concentration camps, we learned about that in school.
We did.
Right. So these kids have no fucking idea. And if you don't know, and you're being told one thing by one news station, again, it goes back to COVID, right? The fear factor. One side's saying this, the other side's saying this. The reality is probably a blend of the two together, right? But if they're only seeing and believing, oh my God, innocent kids and children are being murdered, blah, 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 by Israelis. And it's like, well, one, war sucks regardless. There's innocent lives that get lost in war, no matter what. But if you really want to get down to the root of it, there is a ceasefire on October 6th. Who broke the fucking ceasefire? And if anyone gets bombed...
Bro, who crashed the concert and killed a bunch of innocent people?
Exactly.
For no reason.
Exactly.
Like, where did it start?
Right. Of course they're going to... Do you expect them not to fight back? Like, and then they're calling for a ceasefire. And, I'm Jewish, so this is really passionate for me, right? But do you expect a country not to fight back?
Well, look what we did over there.
And then they're calling for a ceasefire, but they're not calling for a ceasefire in Ukraine, right? So why do we expect one side or one country to have a ceasefire when they were the ones that were murdered originally, but not in another war?
I agree.
Right?
It's actually really good.
It's a complete double standard.
Well, someone tell Putin that, see what happens.
Right. Yeah. Who's going to do that? Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Because he's so strong. Everyone's scared of him.
Hey, we're built back better, baby.
Like I said, man, I haven't seen anything built. I see nothing back, and I see absolutely nothing better.
I agree. Yeah, I just think it's
sad though, because the amount of anti-Semitism, and again, I don't think it was ever gone. I just think it was always there, but it was under the surface. The amount of anti-Semitism that is now prevalent again in this country is disgusting.
Look at what colleges it's at, though, too. So,
oh yeah,
I mean, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I guess. No. Would you expect anything less from that? Where they're at?
I expect nothing from anyone anymore.
I mean, there's not.
I got past the point of being shocked by what happens anymore. After COVID, I'm like, fuck. When we are told as citizens in a free country that we can't operate our businesses freely to support our family, I lost all belief in anything, and nothing surprises me anymore.
But I mean, it was hard because you have a physical office too. Like, right. So like my business, we're in different places. Right. We're outside, we're inside, but it was nobody monitoring us, Right. So if homeowners were cool or
right.
In the midst of that, I was doing a huge project down in the city, and it was government funded and it was monitored.
Yeah.
And like when the government guy would come to check on everything, oh my God, we'd have to wear masks.
Yeah.
So it was like the third Thursday of every month that he would come for an inspection.
Yeah.
So we just quit working the third Thursday of every month, came on Saturdays and worked, or we would work 410s or whatever. Like we would make it up other ways because
yeah,
I'm not wearing a mask outside with. Like it was just
that was
it was.
I was rolling through North Park last night after I was in the Lambo. I was rolling through North Park and there was a guy walking outside with a fucking mask on. I had my window open. I said, "Why are you wearing a mask?" And I drove by. Like that to me is a mental fucking disease. Like, what are you so afraid of?
Because I just think they're ugly. I just think honestly, when
you wanted to wear a mask, just hide your face. I don't want to look
at fucked up, or you're kind of goofy looking, so you'd be rocking the mask still. Like
he's walking
during COVID. If you had beautiful eyes, like it was your time to shine.
He's walking next to his girl. He has a mask on, and his girl doesn't.
Did you wear a mask in the car when you would be by yourself driving?
No, not by myself. No.
You sure?
No. Okay. I worked in the health system I was in the medical system during COVID.
Oh God. So you were in one 24/7.
Yeah, but I did a lot of virtuals then. So if I was by myself, I didn't have to, but.
If you were in a hospital and you guys were 6 feet away and having a session with someone, you would still have to wear one?
Yeah. Whenever it came back, like whenever people were allowed to come back in, we did until I left there. Then it changed, but.
I would ask the patient, are you comfortable with taking your mask off.
Some of them, they didn't. Like the younger kids, and some of them have like panic attacks and things like that.
It sent kids into
so
almost like separation.
For some of them, I kind of let them do what they were comfortable with, but
that's sad. I mean, to scare fuck adults. If an adult can't think for themselves to logically say, wait, this doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, it literally says right on the box, does not protect you from COVID, right? Let's be realistic. But to go so far that you scare these kids as much as they did, and the kids being the least susceptible demographic of all to this virus, and then making the kids keep doing it the longest. They social distance the longest. They have to homeschool the longest. They have to wear masks the longest.
And then
like someone needs to be held accountable.
Some
they
parents
never will.
were dumb enough to give their poor kids that shot. Listen, my sister and I had this conversation yesterday. She's like, my nephew's little generation coming up now that are being raised by people like us. Like the void was between our parents and
the generation underneath us.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now the kids like us, or the people like us that were raised by parents like we were raised and that are raising their kids, these little dudes are fucking wild.
Right.
Not giving a shit. Like in the dirt, not like they're ready to go. Well, they're not going to be part of
generation. That. I think that millennial generation, not all millennials, obviously.
No, because
the millennials, the younger millennials and the Gen Z population, I think their parents just catered so much to them and didn't say no. Right? There was no discipline for doing something wrong. It's the participation trophy generation.
I agree.
Here, you get a trophy just for showing up. No, it's not how this fucking shit works.
Nope. They
tried giving my son, I don't remember what fucking sport it was he was playing. They tried giving him a fucking trophy just for playing the year. I said, no, we're not taking that. For what? You guys didn't win anything.
No.
Why the fuck do you get a trophy? That's not how life works.
It's the same as like now I cheered and did gymnastics. When I used to try out, people got cut from the team.
Right.
Now everyone makes it.
Everyone makes it. Right.
And it's like you just have to make it work. But honestly, that's worse.
So much mediocrity.
But it's worse because imagine like you're the cheerleader that's like not keeping up, or you don't know what you're doing, or you have zero rhythm or whatever, and you're cheering at the football game Friday night. Everyone's making fun of you. So now there's a consequence for you not being cut.
Right.
And you actually have worse self-esteem. You feel worse. It doesn't work for anybody.
Well, it's like they're celebrating mediocrity, but ultimately it backfires because that person ends up having to deal with the fucking trauma of being
right. It doesn't help anybody.
But then there's also the trauma of getting cut.
Which is where learning coping skills comes in. Yeah. That's where learning how to cope and how to manage stress and how to manage being rejected.
Right.
And
those are skills.
Because fear of rejection is huge now everywhere. No one likes to be rejected, but you do. People get rejected in life.
You have to be able to learn how to deal with those things because it happens
it's
every
life.
Day, and if you aren't taught that at a young age and you get smacked with it in the face, that's when you see people freaking out when Donald Trump was elected. Like, remember that fucking chick on her knees? Ah! Like, you know what I'm talking about? That meme? That's what happens. You become that person.
Or like anything that doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
I agree. From a certain age, like from whatever, 5, 6.
Youth.
6, 6.
Anything youth.
10.
Where you're trying it out.
Everyone should be the team and experience it. And
see what you like.
Go and what you like.
Right. I agree.
Back then that wasn't the case. You still got, dude, 7 years old, you got cut.
Yeah.
Soccer, baseball, whatever. Like if you sucked.
Look, in life, you win sometimes, you lose sometimes. You have to learn how to deal with that at a young age so that you don't turn into this ball of mess later on in life.
It makes you not work hard because you're still getting something at the end.
Yeah.
You don't have to bust your ass to get the trophy or win or do whatever because
you're still getting it.
I'm getting a trophy.
That's something I talk to my clients about a lot. Like my adolescents is like, not all emotions are bad. Like emotions of anxiety, sadness, fear, stress, anger, it's not bad. It's needed. If you're stressed, you care. If you're anxious before sports or a test, that means that you're worried about it because you want to do well. If you're angry, you're passionate about something. So you're going to work harder and work through it. If you're sad, that means you lost something and now you know how to deal with it in the future. like they all serve a purpose, but instead sometimes it's that people don't want their children to feel those emotions. So it's like, let me fix it for you. And then it becomes, oh, we live this happy life all the time, but that's not healthy either. Feeling happy all the time is not healthy.
It's not reality.
It's not, because then you grow up
and
Right.
smacked in the face with reality,
Right.
and they have no idea how to cope with
Right.
it, deal with it, handle it, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, feeling all those emotions is how you should feel with certain things.
Yeah.
Because we talk about it every day. It's like,
People don't get it either.
it's just.
And I don't expect them to get it because they haven't been through or built or deal with what we do on a daily basis. I don't expect them to get it.
It wasn't prevalent when we were growing up, though.
I think every
We didn't
generation-
talk about our generation. You didn't talk about your feelings. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
like your dad didn't talk about his feelings. You know
Nah,
what I mean? Like,
he still doesn't.
exactly. So like, neither is my, you know.
Yeah.
Which isn't healthy either.
It's like a good point. Yeah. I guess we're a product of our environment.
Yeah.
Like the most true statement, you know, so.
I think it's about balance, right? Like there's something to be said about being able to be vulnerable and identify what your emotion is and be able to express it in a healthy way, but also be able to manage it in a healthy way too, where you're not attention seeking or right, or reacting in a way that's not healthy, or you know, trying to fix it for your kids, or you know, walking away from something because it's not going your way, or whatever that looks like.
Well, no, I agree with you. I mean, it's like, you know, everyone has issues in school. Like my son is dealing with a kid that used to be friends with and now is turning into a bully to him.
Always, yeah.
Right? You always have it. I said, look, I said right here, I said, if it gets to the point where you're just done with it and he puts his hands on you again, just knock him in the face. I said, you have my full support. Do it. I firmly believe we need to go back to those days where, you know what, sometimes someone just needs to get punched in the fucking face. I said, because here's what's going to happen. Kids like that, and this kid's the biggest crybaby. He used to be on my son's baseball team. The kid would sit there crying all the freaking time. And I could go fix it. I could go have a talk with his parents. I can make it very clear that they need to fucking stop this. But I don't want him to do that. My son needs to
help him handle
because
conflict.
If my son handles it and he does that one time, this kid's going to stop fucking doing it.
I think the thing, like a lot of teenage girls will come to me about like being bullied in school. And it's not, I think think about like movies and stuff. Like the kid getting bullied is like the nerd or whatever, right? That's not true.
No.
It's like these girls that are like these beautiful like girls that are straight A's, like like the ones that like the popular girls, right? They're getting picked on by their own friends, or rumors are started or whatever. And I say to them, I'm like, listen, your friends are jealous of you. That's why they're talking about you. They think about the main character in a movie. You know, who are they talking about in a movie? The main character always ends up isolated in the movie. They're wanting to be her, so they try to put her down. And I think it's so hard for them to grasp that concept of like, well, why would people hate me so much if I were so liked or if I were good enough? Right. And it creates this concept in their mind that they're not. And it's actually sad, but they can't see it that way. And I think that's a huge problem too, because I mean, that's always been the case though. That's always happened. But again, you go back to like the parent support or whatever that looks like. If you go home and it's like, oh, they're so mean to you, I'm so sorry, just don't go to school. Yeah, right? Instead, it's like, you know what? Sit by yourself. Right. Sit by yourself at lunch. Don't let them bother you. Who cares?
Well, in some cases, I tell my daughter, I'm like, look, if this is how they are to you, then they're not your real friend.
Right.
And you need to remove yourself from that situation.
Right.
And find people that are your real friends.
Right.
Because someone that acts like that says those things or whatever, they're not someone that actually cares about you. Because if they cared about you, they wouldn't be treating you like that. But the kids need to handle it themselves.
Right.
And you have to support them in that. But ultimately, they're the ones that have to handle it themselves.
And honestly, when they don't, it just gets worse.
It does. Yeah. When they just deal with it, you know, my daughter is not a fighter at all, right? She doesn't want to cause any issues. She has a huge heart. She gets straight A's, but she just comes home some days so defeated. Like, McKenna, until you stand up for yourself and remove yourself from that situation, and you tell them why, it's not going to change.
When you're not the fun target anymore, then they'll move on.
So, but as long as you continue to put up with it, and they see it as you dealing with it, they're going to think it's okay, and they're going to continue to do it to you.
Yeah.
I said, you can't. I say this all the time. You can't do the same thing, but then expect different results. And that goes for anyone in life. I don't care if you're 10 like my son, 14 like my daughter, or 43 like me. Yes, I said that out loud. Me 40.
Yikes.
I'm 44. 2 months.
I ain't even going down this fucking road.
You're younger than me.
Yeah. Thank God.
Got an MRI the other day. Been battling this neck pain and back pain for a year now, right? On and off. Woke up Saturday morning, couldn't even lift my neck or my chin up without shit shooting down my right arm. Like pain and numbness and tingly. So I was like, fuck. I text my doctor. And she's like, I gotta get you in for an MRI right away. She goes, I think you have a herniated disc between C5 and C6. So I go in for an MRI on Monday. Sure as shit. Fucking thing's herniated between C5 and C6. So I have to like, if I lift my head up all the way, it just shoots down my fucking. It's what happens when you get fucking old. It's also what happens when you beat your body up.
I was going to say.
Like I want to get up and get moving, but it's like
My body
do it real
doesn't want
fast.
to, right?
You know what I mean? You know, like it's like gotta take it a little bit slower.
And it's like, oh, I feel like, okay, yeah, I'm 43, I'm 44, whatever. I didn't really feel it until all this shit started happening. I'm like, my PT got some, my Dan at BT, he owns the PT company, and when I was there, he goes, if I didn't know you and know your age, I would think your body's 20 years older than it actually is. Like, yeah, awesome.
When I had my knees operated on, and the doctor said, he's like, you have a lot of scar tissue around there. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, your knees literally the inside look like those of an 80-year-old man. And I was like,
You guys are not making this look hopeful.
cortisone shots that they would pump me full of in college so I could keep playing sports. They didn't care.
Wow. So I go to the orthopedic specialist on the 22nd. I have a feeling they're going to fucking inject some shit in my neck.
Oh, it's like $1 million until you see that needle and it's like,
Oh.
because it has to hit the bone.
Oh.
I'm just standing there because I used to get them, they used to put them in my forearm.
No
I've had
chance.
shit
Yeah.
before, yeah.
No chance.
Like this, and the needle's like all the way over here. Like, is it touching the bone? I'm like, clearly. Like, just
No, keep going. Get out the other side.
I'm like, just fucking squeeze the plunger already, please, for the love of God. You're a woman. It's not going to be that bad for you.
How do you know?
Because you didn't beat your body.
You didn't
I used to tumble on hard floor my whole life. Flips in the air, twisted myself and landed on the hard floor. No, I didn't knock myself out, but
Did you ever break your back?
no,
Did you ever break your pelvis?
no.
Yeah.
But I have arthritis
From what?
from that.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
On gym floor. I did it from the time I was 2 until college, end of college.
I have arthritis too at my neck, apparently.
I just try and avoid the doctor at all costs unless it's to the point where like I'm
kinda
at
where I
like
was,
wit's end,
yeah.
like and like I'm teetering on like the fucking
I'm like, I'm
my shit.
Like, I'm in my
Then
40s. I should probably get back to seeing a PCP fairly regularly at this point. So I did, and this is what happens. I could have been much better not knowing that shit. I could just push through it.
Do you have to wear one of those machines?
No, I have a neck collar.
Oh.
It's a traction collar, so I crank it up and it actually lengthens my neck, so it decompresses the vertebrae.
you know, like an inversion table is like when you
Nifty.
All right,
well,
let's wrap this shit up. We got work to do. Oh man, Jonna, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We'll cut out all the stuff that you don't want people to hear you say. Make sure that goes in there, bro.
all right, until next time.
See you later.